What do you think differentiates WAUSM from other schools?
I definitely think that here at WAUSM, we have something that is radically different than at any place that I've taught at before. And a lot of that is really about the integration that you have between the basic science faculty and the clinical faculty. So we have physicians, MDs working hand in hand with PhDs in a lot of the classroom settings. And so it's really interesting. There are many sessions where you might be with one professor, but oftentimes we'll have a couple of core sessions where you learn the basic components, and then we'll have these integrated sessions. Sometimes they're workshops. It might be a ear, nose, and throat workshop, or it could be just that we have several different faculty that are going through. First, we'll do anatomy, then pharmacology, and then we'll have a bunch of MCQs from one of our clinicians that will really bring it all together, help you synthesize that material. And I got to say, that I've never worked in any of the places I've worked at before so closely with physicians, and I really mean that. I can't think of a single school that I worked at previous to this where I actually did sessions with any clinicians at all. It was very compartmentalized, so that you kind of do you're in your little box, and you almost didn't even know what the other faculty or the other clinicians were teaching, because you never went to their sessions, since you didn't know it. When you're in the classroom with them, you hear them speaking, and you're thinking, oh, next time I do this, I'm going to add this component to my session to make it a little bit more fine-tuned for the clinical application, which ultimately it's all about solving medical mysteries. And so there's a lot of things. I've actually pared down a lot of my teaching to where, when I'm getting ready to teach an anatomy session, one of the questions I ask myself is this clinically relevant? Or is this just minutia, a little piece of data which is trivial and has no direct application to the medical problems we're solving? And I got to tell you, I have probably learned more as an educator and about medicine in the last 2 years than I think I've learned in the previous 10 years combined. I feel like that I actually know more about medicine, not only clinical anatomy, but just clinical medicine, because I am so deeply entwined with my colleagues, and it raises my understanding. Hopefully that's conveyed to the students, and it really helps to them to understand what the important parts of anatomy are for being a physician, and what the parts that aren't so important. So we can paint a little background, but that's not necessary for a good clinician. One of the things too I love is that we really unpack anatomy here, where in the past, most in every medical school I've ever seen or heard of, you take your first semester is cramming anatomy down your throat, and you're supposed to remember that for the rest of the time and apply it where it's necessary. But here, me and my colleague, Dr. Darricott, we teach anatomy every single semester. So you get a heavy dose of it in first semester, but then with each unit that we go into, each system, we'll do cardio when they're doing all the other faculty are teaching them about the pharmacology and the immunology, all those things. We're teaching them cardio anatomy, and then we go to lungs, and then it's renal, and then so we have 11 different units, and each one we get to take deep, medically relevant dives in the anatomy specs. The very last thing is that, ultimately, like it or not, the STEP exam is an important benchmark that you have to meet. And if you're not really that good at those kind of standardized tests, we get you started first semester with that kind of material. Week 4 of your first semester of medical school, you take your first exam, and it's all NBME, National Board of Medical Examiner questions. What does that mean? These are retired STEP questions. And so we'll go into the big bank of those questions, and we'll select out which questions to put on the exam based upon the material that we've taught, but also seeing the forward trajectory of what we want the students to achieve by the time they get into their clerkship years and they get ready for the STEP. So that MBME prep, starts from day one. And if you're not that great at that style of an examination, this gives you a chance to hone your skills, figure out how to address those kind of questions, figure out where your stumbling blocks are when it comes to those type of really detailed. But there's going to be a lot of stuff in that vignette, how to weed through important facts, filter out the unimportant stuff, and then come up with clinical diagnosis, based upon the differential things that you see within that vignette and the important aspects of that. So I think those things are the integration, the direct application of the MBME, and for me personally as a professor of anatomy, the lengthy process where I get to teach 5 semesters of anatomy. And so I'll be teaching semester 1, 2, and 3 one week, and it's 3, 4, and 5 the next week. And so I get to be in touch with the students for that entire period of time. And also, like I said, we did really do some cool deep dives into the medically relevant anatomy that I'm just never going to do at another institution.